Namaste and welcome to the Bharatvaarta podcast. I'm Roshan Karyappa. What should we do to improve standards of living in India? Now, that's a question that our guest today is best suited to answer. Dr. Aruna Sharma ji is an IAS officer of the 1982 batch Madhya Pradesh cadre, and she just recently retired from her work in steel and information technology in Government of India. Aruna ji has published a book, You at Game Changer for Inclusive Growth, where she describes how elected representatives can adopt methods to build sustainable quality infrastructure, enable social security and livelihoods, and improve their communities. In this very interesting conversation, we discussed various aspects of governance, and it really offers a unique perspective of how things operate on the ground and what is needed to create a positive impact. So without further ado, let's get into this conversation. Namaste, Arunaji. Thank you so much for making the time and being on Bharatvaarta podcast.
My pleasure.
So, Arunaji, as I was mentioning, youth is they're brimming with ideas, but oftentimes, we are quite cynical that whether things will happen in the government and how things can actually transform at the ground level. You have spoken at length about very practical approaches to some of this. So, in your career of the last 4 decades, how have you seen these things, translate to changes on the ground?
A lot of things, because I have seen that if the objective is very clear and you have right kind of people at the steering wheel, the changes happen. And everybody, have an inner urge to perform and to deliver. What lacks is if it becomes a personality-based approach, then it collapses with the change of person. But if the focus is on system-based approach, then it is permanent, it goes ahead with it. If you look at the government took the initiative of direct benefit transfer and linking and creating these bridges for transfer of money from government treasury to people, right? And with that kind of bridge being made, all these digital payments became possible. Or everybody, in 5 kilometer radius had a bank account, and the government now it's zero cash payment. There is no cash payment from government to the citizens, or even citizens to the government, whether it's bills, whether it's their bank guarantee for tenders or anything. So that transformation has happened over last 10 to 12 years. It started off in 2012 and it was experimented, consolidated, and now it has become a proper way. So it helps for a better management of money for the government and treasury, as well as a very ease flow of money getting transferred to the individual. So this is one of the examples I like to give that it makes a difference. And similarly, I found the dairy sector, the cooperative dairy sector, starting from the Amul days to now, you find unadulterated quality kind of delivery of milk. And India with a deficit milk, where, Amul story, if it started off with import of milk powder, right? So now from deficit milk, we have the highest milk producer, even though per capita cattle production may be low. And the business model is such that small producers with 2 cows, 3 cows are equal contributor to somebody having a big farm of 20 Jersey high quality cows or buffaloes, right? So this kind of a model became so participative that everybody has their share, get the money equivalent to their share of contribution, and as a part of the bonus and the profits. So this model also emerged very well. Then if you look at the infrastructure, we have gone ahead quite a lot of linking literally every road under Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. So access has been given, right? The post offices have been digitized. So again, an access has been given. So we do have over last 70 years, many success stories, including high level of educational institutions, including your core sector, manufacturing and everything. But yes, there are many sectors where the pace could have been better, pace could have been more focused, and it was more a patchwork approach where we could not go to the desired levels. So that is where we stand today.
Very good to start on an optimistic note. Ma'am, one of the things that you have spoken about is the poverty thinking trap. And I think most of us, fall for this, saying that, India is a poor country. We're a nation of 1.4 billion people. It's difficult to have resources for all of us and the state capacity to provide for, basic necessities of life and so on. You have argued, quite contrary to that position. Could you explain that a little more?
Surely, because I strongly believe we suffer with the poverty thinking trap, right? We compromise with substandard delivery of things saying that India is a poor country, so we have to accept this substandard delivery, or we have to accept poverty, or we have to accept bad roads, we have to accept power cuts. But my entire argument rests on this, that I have analyzed this in detail. A panchayat, the lowest administrative unit, which gets money from the Central Finance Commission, State Finance Commission, Manrega money, then some line departments money of constructing Anganwadis or school building, etc., etc. Average population of panchayat ranges from, a very small number of 2,500 people, right? So 2,500 people means 500 households, okay? And these four, five things which I mentioned contributes a crore of rupees per annum. Now, you are a business person, you deal into business. Just think about for 500 household, if you have an assured inflow per annum, year after year, of a crore of rupees, why should you settle on a substandard way? Why shouldn't you have all cement concrete roads? Why you shouldn't have drainage? Why you should have pipe water? Everything. The problem here lies is we don't give them this full image and give them money in bits and pieces. So they are not able to think big. Their requirement is suppose 5 lakhs of rupees or 50 lakhs of rupees, and they are getting in bits and pieces. So they think only this much money is there. So they end up making a gate or a chabutra or these kind of things. So the whole efforts which we tried to do was to give them this number, that in the year, in 3 installment, you are going to get a crore of rupees. And we expect you to have this level of infrastructure. So that is at the lowest level. Where the panchayats are big, in Kerala, in West Bengal and others, where population is 20,000, they get 2.5 crores of rupees. You can visit the websites of Rural Development Department and you'll see this money flow. Panchayat Department and Rural Development if we combine. I'm not talking of what's coming in agriculture, health, etc., etc. This is purely for infrastructure. Now graduate to a district level. There is a district planning board after 73rd and 74th amendment, where every project which is being done in the district has to be approved. Now it is becoming like a routine exercise of stamping or binding, without application of mind. Now you will be amazed to know, minus salary, there is no district in India where average population is only 15 lakhs. You get around 1200 crores of rupees.
Oh.
Right. So you can have top level irrigation, top level roads, top level infrastructure, take care of power. Everything is possible, right? So, and the difference is bad performing states, 50% money lapse. That's the whole problem. So, in the sense, we are in a poverty thinking trap, thinking that money is not there. The financial resource is there, need is there, brain is there. What is lacking is a management. And when you see the islands of success, the only difference you see is there is somebody who managed it very well. There is someone who is just doing a day-to-day affairs without application of mind. That is the only difference. And therefore, I always insist upon what you rightly picked up from my writings, that we suffer from this poverty thinking trap, that we are poor. No, we are not poor. We must demand a top quality delivery system, top quality infrastructure. Financial resources are there, capability is there, technical know-how is there. We should get it. So that demand has to emerge. It's very important.
Right. This is again, not the common perception, because we feel that, the funds are not properly utilized because of, let's say, corruption or something like that. But what you are saying is that it's a case of mismanagement, essentially, right? So in that case, how do we make it truly scalable and, manageable, irrespective of who is in power in these, panchayats or elsewhere?
Absolutely. See, the panchayat elections are not on party lines. The parties claim that, okay, so many panchayats are with me, but they are not on party lines. They have been done. This is a transparent process to make them aware that this kind of a money flow is coming to you. And like we gave them a suggestive list that each one of you should have a cement concrete road, each one of you should have drains, each one of you should have this, that, everything, 10 items. And then ask them to start ticking the boxes. And once we insist upon it, then give them a label of smart village, right? So here we created what we call it as a Samruddhi ladder. So 4 ladders, and one ladder is infrastructure, where I said this a crore of rupees, 25 steps. You decide what steps are lacking into your panchayat and then start fulfilling it in 5 years. 5 years, you are going to get 5 crores of rupees plus MLA MP funds, little of it. to fill the gaps in case you need it. Then, as you graduate from that, the second ladder, what we talked about, was social sector protection. You will be amazed to know in social sector protection, we have an old age pension. For a girl child, we have a complete life cycle graph. Adolescent girl, there is a medical treatment, iron supplement is there. Then the moment they get married, there is a marriage 5,000 benefit is given by the state governments for the marriage, where they give them some utensils, this, that, gas connection, etc., etc. Then they get married, then they get pregnant. There is a supplementary diet from the Anganwadi. Institutional delivery is there. Then once they deliver, they are lactating mother. Again, supplementary diet is there. Then small children, supplementary diet is there. Midday meal is there. Scholarships are there, right? For all these children, which is directly going into their account. So if you look at the life cycle, and then old age pension is there. Now, the second ladder, we have to ensure these benefits are reaching the people. Right. And it's a direct benefit. Now, there is no intermediary. Straight away, the amount goes in their account. You have to see that entitled people are getting into it. The third ladder is livelihood. Now, in livelihood, we have to think out of the box. Like I always say, we have to come out from this Hindi film syndrome. Ki, she becomes a widow, so kapde sil ke bachcho ko pala. That is not going to last any longer. You have to be professional. You have to give a new skills. And the COVID has taught a lot of automation is going to come in coming 8 to 10 years. Big industries are getting automated. The MSMEs are going to be automated. The banking payment structure is already automated. It has moved to digital, so you can see how the things are changing. So you will have to impart the right kind of skills to these people to become employable. Not only that, if you look at the agriculture produce, a step up can be pushed into the rural areas. To give you an example, mint, pudina, right? Now, mint, you make menthol out of it, right? To make a menthol, now it's a very expensive item. It's only distillation. Now, this distillation plants, we can easily make it in group of 10 panchayats where mint is grown quite a lot. Now, youth will find the job, you distill it. What is the dried mint is taken by the masala industry. The menthol is taken by pharmacy and confectionery industry. So that kind of an additional money is pushed into that rural areas, and that employment comes there. So this way you will have to find this intermediary step up. I don't expect them to make confectionery and compete with maybe Cadbury or something. No, but at least you make this stage, right? And so that similarly, if tomato pulp you can make. Now ketchup can be made by the branded company. From insulated man we can take. I was talking about the milk model, exactly the same model. One step up, we have to push it down. So that is going to make a lot of difference and add to the economy. So third ladder is livelihood, that how every household has at least 2 to 3 source of incomes. Then you are not going to get suicide or these kind of problems. So something coming from a small piece of land, make it irrigated, make it drip irrigation kind of things, give them a better cropping pattern, link them to the mandis, one part, impart skilling and some household items like maybe maintaining a milch cattle or doing some household industry. So 3 sources of income, they will graduate well. That's a third ladder. And fourth ladder, the last one but not the least, is the community responsibility. Now, it is not the responsibility of the government. Government can educate that 18 ke niche shaadi na ho, the girls are respected, everybody gets immunized and people follow the social norms. There's no exploitation based on caste. All that has to come from community. So you have to push this responsibility. So 25 ladders, each of them, that is 100 marks. Now, if the local representatives start scoring on these 100 marks, you will know where do you stand, right? And like you rightly said before, even if I negate corruption, we will not achieve it till we move to it systematically and understand and do this and achieve this. So if we target for this, again, I repeat, there is no crunch of financial resource in this country at all, right? So we have to come out of that thinking so that we focus where rightly we have to focus. And some of the sarpanches have done such a fantastic job. Or if you see states doing good, states not doing so good, this is the difference. And it is very, very starkingly done. It's the same amount of money. In fact, the states which are doing bad, some of the money is population based, so they are getting much more money. If you look at UP and Bihar, they are getting much more money to the panchayats than you see the less populated states like southern part of the country, right? But you see the difference of infrastructure, you see how the panchayats, how the education, how the health sector, everything is growing in these states. And this goes till Vindhyas. Even so-called Bimaru states of Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Chhattisgarh have come out very well now. They're doing quite well. So that's all makes a difference when you're doing it, is understanding this problem and have this kind of an approach. And this education is important. This you have to tell this, because Sarpanch also undergo trainings. Your field functionaries also undergo. So it's a focused training. If we give them, you see the difference, and it's for everybody to follow.
Arunaji, sorry I joined a bit late, but obviously you
Please.
advocate for a fairly bottoms-up program, which is what you spoke about. And in that, there have been two contemporary issues which have dominated the conversation in the last year and a half. One is, of course, the farm laws, and it's a fairly top-down. I know it's a bit of a hot potato. People have stark views, but some of those probably are from a top down point moving in a direction which you are also saying, diversification of livelihoods, going beyond this, and over dependence on small piece of land. One is, what is your view and the direction ahead? If you were, what would you recommend and how would you navigate the current flux? One. And second is, again, there has been some, again, a top down scheme around one district one product, which sort of again goes in a direction which you were talking about, maybe at a more micro level, but this is more at a district level. What do you think of that particular scheme, especially in light of digitization and maybe greater or easier distribution and marketability of those products with a private sector overlay on that? So maybe would be useful to get your views, having seen the grassroots impact of all these, and maybe educate our listeners on these two particular issues.
Sure. If you look at it in the farm laws, let me be devil's advocate. The position which is coming is not per se to the value addition to their farming product. It is not per se to linking to the agriculture university for better agriculture practices. The green revolution has come only because of this linkage, where the university, the farmers got together, and India came out from this famine kind of a thing, which was terrible. Now we have food surplus, food grain surplus. I put it this way. Even horticulture, they have adopted it so well. The whole problem is coming on the cost or the price they get on the agriculture produce. And the farmers demand a guarantee on it because input costs are going up, right? And mandi is like a cushion for them, right? Because mandi is a place where the government, it is not a mandatory for government to procure at the MSP. It steps in when the market prices start falling. So it's like a guarantee to a farmer that if the market is becoming exploitative, or if market is not giving them a proper price, there is a step in by the government who will procure it. And that's what makes a lot of difference. So that is an assurance where the debate is coming, and there is a lot of logic into it. The second thing is they are saying that there can be procurement by the private people without being registered to mandi. Now, that is a problem because mandis have evolved over a period of time, and mandi registration is like a watchdog on these. Now, in Madhya Pradesh, I'll tell you, now mandis are all modernized, all digital payments have come, everybody has to register. And we have two examples there, one of ITC, which procures this best quality wheat, and we have Dawat, which procures best quality rice, right? But they both are also registered with the mandi. So even if a farmer has a contract with the ITC or Dawat, and at the time of selling, the farmer is not comfortable to the price they are offering, the farmer is free to sell it in the mandi to a third person, which will disappear, right? And in case the farmer has taken some advances from the ITC or Dawat, then it gets adjusted into the payment that is made by the farmer, and the farmer pays off. So the farmer has got that option. So they don't want to be bound by anybody. What was raised very correctly in question, because of the small farm places, this reverse tenancy has started happening in West Bengal over last 10 to 15 years, right? Where the small farmers are giving away their land to a big person. But what is their fate? They are pulling cycle rickshaw in Calcutta, right? So it is not that their fate has improved. They have become laborers, right? So that is a problem. So it is very important, or maybe make more sense if we get into a cooperative farming kind of a thing, where these big chunks of lands, they come together, they do in their own land. It is, again, I repeat, the dairy thing. If you have two cows and you produce 5 liters of milk, you get paid for 5 liters of milk at the same cost, where a person has got 15 cows and it produces 4 cans of milk every day. Right. Depending on your fat content, depending on your quality, everything, the collection point is same. You will get the price, similar price. You will get the payment prompt at the same promptness. Exactly same is required. You may be an owner of 1 hectare of land. You may be an owner of 20 hectares of land. If in the cropping pattern is given to you, you do the produce, you get the price, similar price, depending on quality, prompt payment without exploitation for your small land, for your big land. So that is what makes a difference, and that is a pattern which is needed. And that's why these farmers are worried. They are worried. They have seen that cycle rickshaw wala in Kolkata, and they are seeing that this is, at least it gives them a food security, if nothing else. They may just have 1 hectare of land, but their food is secured. They know that quantity of wheat, rice, whatever vegetables they are able to grow, they are not going to starve at any moment of time. And that fear, there has to be dialogues, there has to be understanding, and it is a state subject. The state can better handle them, because a problem in Kerala may not be same problem in Punjab, and problem in West Bengal may not be the same problem in Gujarat. So it should be left to the state governments on this being a draft bill to go through the sections of it, amend the sections after having a dialogue with the local farmers, and adopt it or adapt it what is suitable to their particular state. Because the agriculture practices, agriculture produce, infrastructure, everything is so divergent across the country, so divergent. So one shoe size cannot fit all.
So is this why
But
it is limited to Punjab? Because
no,
it's
it is
protest
not.
Punjab,
It is
Haryana
no,
more.
it is not correct. If this was correct, you would have had many of the state governments endorsing these bills. Not a single state government has endorsed this bill till date. Not a single government. Right. So it is not just the stay factor which has come of the central government that okay, 1.5 years we will not execute. Absolutely none, because they understand the problem. They understand the small nuances of it which needs to be ironed out, which needs to be clarified, which needs to be corrected. And that exercise when it's done, it's no problem. And there is absolutely no opposition on having a step up intermediary of adding to the food value or adding to the processing. Absolutely no objection from the farmers, and absolutely no objection from going. It is all stuck on the MSP. It is all stuck on not having a strong mandi. These 2 points are the irritant points that has to be talked. There has to be more dialogue at the local level and amended depending on their traditional practices. The mandis can improve, and mandi is not that. If you recollect, I said for a marriage of a daughter you get 25,000. Mandis, what percentage tax they get? You see all over newspaper. Oh, mandi takes tax. That tax doesn't come to the government exchequer. The tax remains with the mandi. They make rural roads. They make the hostels for the farmers to stay, because farmer has to stay there for 2-3 days by the time payment happens and everything happens. So they have a parking place. Then it is used to modernize the mandi. It is used for their welfare. So insurance of the farmers, that is the life insurance, as well as marriage of their daughters and everything is being paid from this money. So, and all this disabled money, that 10 paisa, at least in Madhya Pradesh, I know 20 paisa which comes per 100 rupees is used for the disability thing. So whether wheelchair is to be there, hearing aid is to be there, they have to be operated, cochlear transplant, 5 lakhs of rupees, all that comes from this money. So this is how it works. So it is not something, oh, they are being taxed, it's bad. So one has to get into these nuances. So best it should be left state by state. And these 3 nuances needs to be ironed out. Then absolutely no problem on that. And related to that, what were the next sector, what you were talking about, is the apprehensions which is coming, that how this, what was your next one, Nimish?
No, it was around the one district, one product.
Yes,
It's a
you are
new,
right.
I mean, because again, you
Very
mentioned
correct.
about say Pudina for a step up, and so what is your view? Different products. I mean,
Absolutely. I totally agree. One district, one product is a good sign, but you should have a complete district planning revolved around it. Right. Now, if I give you an example, suppose I take Pudina or dairy, then you must make now one district, one product will not work. At least you should have three products, right? So suppose you have a milk product, the milk will be only on the milk routes where you think it is possible to collect and bring the milk within 12 hours or 12 hours. It cannot penetrate into the remote areas. So you have to have a plan B for them and a plan C for them. So three products or three thrust activities make sense. And then you have to have a holistic approach, which I always say. You have to think of everything. You have to think of a seed, if it's a farm base, you have to think of the technical knowledge, you have to think of irrigation, you have to think of cropping pattern, you have to think of procurement, step up, value, payment structures, everything. You can't, pesticides, insecticides, everything you have to think, and that holistic approach will have to come down there. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So that each of the component, you will be amazed to know there is a scheme to satisfy that component. So, and maybe there is more than one scheme for one component. So you have to do a matching those schemes to that component and proceed ahead with it. So what you call it as a converging, all of them put together. That is what makes a difference. To give you an example for suppose dairy. Now dairy is not just distributing of the cattle. It is to make a society, to distribute the cattle, to have a veterinary doctor there, to teach them on the milking, to collect the milk, to process the milk, to market the milk, to give them a good quality feed, whether it's a green fodder or khali, so that the milk produces better. All this will come together. So if you leave out one, your thing is not going to succeed. So this is very important. Then you have to do a reverse marketing. The kind of selection which I was thinking, what has come in public domain on the agriculture produce, this is very good. And already a farmers producer company is a very good example which is setting in, product wise. So you have orange farmers producing company, or you have mint farmers producing company, or you have something. So among the farmers, the educated lot, somebody picks up getting seeds, somebody picks up going to the market, somebody picks up doing other thing, or sorting machine for potatoes, whatever it is. So this is very important when you're doing one, you identify the product very clearly. Two, make a holistic planning of all components. Three, match the schemes to these components and execute it. Now, if you are making a road also, you have to have a road where this thing product is going to come and go. So it has to be a top priority road. You may need a storage facility. You need a marketing facility. So all this will have to be linked along with skilling, because any one component, if you miss it out, your success will not be the level at it has to go. And these districts which has been selected for one product, one district, we have to make it marketability. We have to think out of the box, right? We cannot be same again, right? So we have farmers who are gone for vegetable cultivation and doing a great job. We have farmers which has gone for floriculture, just growing flowers. They're doing a wonderful job. We have farmers who have gone for horticulture, fruits. They're doing a wonderful job. And then we have a high quality wheat, rice, your food grains. Then your millets. Now, so-called, it has become very, very as a healthy diet. So millets are finding a very good produce, like organic produce and everything. It is coming well in the market. So if you look from the agriculture point of view, this is there. If you look from the non-land-based agriculture, one district, one product, then you have to follow the China model, where the research, the marketing is in the hands of the experts, but the research, the market feedback comes down quickly to them, and they are ready to correct their product manufacturers. So that way you will have to go, whether it is shoe making, or whether it's curios you are making, or whether you are making something else. So we have like Aligarh Tale, if you are doing, then Tale has to graduate. No, nobody has that kind of a Tale. It's a Godrej kind of a Tala you want. So you have to make them graduate, or if they are doing metal things, because handicrafts and handloom, you have to understand, it has a great inventory time. By the time the buyer buy it, it's not FMCG, which is not a fast moving goods. So therefore, you have to work upon it so that they get that margin and they get that advantage. So that is very important, right?
Right. It's amazing how everything is so interconnected, actually, and you cannot solve for one thing in silos without solving for the ecosystem as a whole. I would love to, double click on some of the things that you said earlier, ma'am, in terms of improving access and Samruddhi program and all of those things. But before that, I mean, if you could elaborate on your concept of a smart village and mohalla, which you talked about, and also share some examples, where you see such a smart village or mohalla, that would be really helpful.
You are absolutely right. If you look at the smart villages, it is exactly those four ladders that I was talking about. And when Simhas took place in Ujjain, all 365 panchayats in and around, where traditionally people come from all over the country, and they cross those villages and go to Shipra River to have the dip and have the Mahakal Darshan and everything, they adopted this model of smart village, smart panchayat. And the best feedback I got is when people started ringing up and finding out that who are these people in the villages? Why villages have such a wonderful infrastructure? We have not given a single pie extra to them. Right, the panchayats were making digital payments. Then you had all this top quality infrastructure. On their own, they decided a coloring scheme for their village. So everybody painted their house in a particular color, and then you had green areas, absolutely no filth, no, because they had a good drainage system. And all that made a difference. So you have those villages. Similarly, this program is adopted in Chhattisgarh now completely. So if you visit any of the villages in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, you will see a difference. Tamil Nadu, you go, you will see a difference. So the panchayats have adopted this, they have understood it, and this is a money which is with them. They are the decision maker. They don't have to go up at the district or up at the state. I'm talking only of that level money. Then one district, one product, this 1200 crores, even though there are line departments which have technical expertise and hold the schemes, but what to do in the district, it is possible. Unfortunately, you treat it as a binders exercise. You combine agriculture plan, irrigation plan, road plan, this plan, that plan, bind it and put district plan. It's not that. So it's a bottom up something which ends there. It is top down where a new technology, a new product, a new understanding is to be given. So it has to be a combination that infrastructure of village level, of panchayat level, you put it bottom up, the long roads, the state levels, the national highways, it is top down, in a road. Similarly for buildings, similarly for agriculture, a new technology, a new produce, a new thing, it has to be top down. So it has to be a combination of bottom up and top down when you work upon it. So you have these many examples of brilliant functioning of the panchayats. And now many of the young MPs are now adopting this model and trying to take it. And that's why I came up with the book, You at the Rate Game Changer, and try to explain it them in a very simple language. It is translated in Hindi also. And Marathi translation, the publisher is ready. Unless until he gets a bulk order in Marathi, he'll not print it. So that is how it goes, That's publisher's prerogative. I can't interfere there. So this is how it works out. So in the sense, it is possible, it is doable, and the best thing I found is peer-to-peer learning. So where, the sarpanches of a badly administered state travel to the better administered state and they see it themselves that, okay, yes, I also get this kind of a money. I also have this scheme. I also have this liberty. Why am I not doing it? So that's what makes a difference. So this understanding has to come is the exchange. The second understanding has to come to be aware of this kind of a money and decide your priorities and then be sincere about the quality. I was lucky to have good engineers who, in the beginning, went and dismantled bad structures and publicized it. So, message was loud and clear that if you do a bad structure, then the sarpanch has to pay from his pocket to restore it. Right. So then they became very careful to do a better quality jobs. Right. So it reduces the corruption, and all digital payments ensures that this thing don't happen. To the extent they finally went and represented that give us some pocket money. So then we allowed them, okay, 50,000 per annum you can have in cash with you. They said, no, we require some deaths happens, some marriage happens, some this happens and everything. So that was the only money they had a direct access. Otherwise, everything was digital. And surprisingly, the sarpanches of reserved category, women sarpanches who are reserved, 30%, in some states it's 50%. They were very happy about it because it's only at the panchayat level where they are punished for misappropriation. They are removed from their post. They can be recalled, right? It doesn't happen to MLAs. It doesn't happen to MPs. It's sarpanch, it happens. So they were taken for a ride because they are not so literate or aware. Now with digital tracks, they are in a comfort zone. So technology and this understanding and this exchanges with skilling makes the whole difference. And you have n number of examples where they are now adopting the smart village concept. Same applies to mohallas, urban land. Same, each mohalla, if you decide that this is the quality standard we'll maintain, you will get it. You don't have a quality standard at all. You look at the banking of the roads, sides, now it doesn't cost money, but sudden dip you will find, right? You will have this road constructed by somebody and this road constructed by somebody, and in between you will have a camel's hump. Nobody's job. They are at different levels. Now, this doesn't require money. It is just understanding to break the silo, what you said rightly, and see the ultimate objective of it. Ultimate objective is connectivity. And when you said access, there is a difference between gaining access and having access. I have an account 100 kilometer away is just having an access. The road made at different level is having an access. I don't gain an access. But the moment you link it properly, the moment you have it within 5 kilometer radius, it is gaining access. I can go there. I can understand it. I can use it and optimize it. That access is to be understood by people, sort of pushed into their minds. And I always say a good MP and a bad MP, this is the example. I have seen member of parliaments investing in their areas. So they claim that even if we do not canvass, we are going to win. They're not party dependent. They're not label dependent. They're not dependent. They are dependent more because of their work. And they have this complete database. Now, what you rightly said, because of the digital world, they have a panchayat-wise data with them, right? And they guide them that, okay, do this. Ultimate Baba is going to come to them. They will get the credit for it. Whether you are a sarpanch, you will get a credit. You are an MLA, you will get the credit. The MP will get a credit. And of course, the government in power at the state or center will get the credit. But if you don't do this, put the people in misery, then we are into poverty thinking.
I also like the way you think about livelihoods and enabling livelihoods in these, towns, mohallas, cities, etc. Right, and it's especially pertinent in the new economy that we're moving in. Right, I mean, everyone is familiar with this whole gig economy, and of course, the internet has opened up so many possibilities for us as well. Remote work, and the next innovation in virtualization, and so on and so forth. Do you think, I mean, there's a fundamental disconnect between how we view, enabling livelihoods versus, what has to be done? Because I think still we kind of think of, things like Manrega, where you're employing people versus kind of upskilling them to become entrepreneurs themselves. Because I think as a country, we're a very entrepreneurial country. I think you will find more people in an informal sector making and selling things rather than employed formally, right? So how should one think about livelihoods specifically, ma'am?
See, you have raised a very pertinent issue. What worked for 70 years is not going to work in coming 20 years. Let us be very clear about it. For the simple reason, because what you could make locally and sell it, now today you have an access to a machine manufactured good because of internet getting delivered at your place, a better quality. So you are going to lose a section of the customers which were happy with your handmade things, what you were making there. Reverse of that is a quality handmade, well packaged things. You have a market which may not be neighborhood, but e-commerce, you can capture new markets. You can spread within country, outside country. World is your platform to go ahead with it. So what is important is the marketing has to be in the hands of the experts. And like I said before, the China's trans village industry, where manufacturing chain is local, but marketing is in the hands of the experts, the guilds. And that's how they captured the world market completely. Because now a small shopkeeper to compete with his tiny product or sell it in the mela, his gain is very, very small. Now he's also buying, I remember when we were kids, we used to look after mela in that iktara. I wonder, this mud thing was below. There used to be a string and a bow by which you can play. And of course, the seller used to play beautiful tune and we used to just create harsh sounds on it. But I don't see those items any longer in the market, not even in village melas. So this is going to happen. We have to understand, better versions are available, right? So we have to be very careful that when we are talking of this employment, and we have 65% of population, which should not become a liability. It has to be an asset. We have to work upon employability. One step, like I said, one in, and your agriculture also is not so much labor oriented, right? Previously you needed four sons to manage it. Today now one son can do it, or one daughter can do it. It's more than enough. Half of them is mechanized now there. Even a small farmer borrows it and does it, right? So these things have changed. So you have to ensure that farming, one household activity, one employable activity, and one outside employment. This combination we have to work household wise. And therefore, we also came up with a model of Samagra household database. You have to understand, Aadhaar does not give the family. In your family, if there are 5 members, by reading the Aadhaar number, I will never know that you are a family, right? They're so independent of each other. For your eligibility of any of the government norms, I need the household. I need to know the members of the family. I make the family below poverty line BPL, the family. I gave scholarship to the children, 2 children of the family. I must know the family. I give ration based on the members in the family. I give you medical insurance cover of 5 lakhs of rupees to the family. So therefore, in Samagra, we created a household database by camouflaging your account number, individual account numbers, and Aadhaar was used just as an identifier to clean up the whole process. Now, this digitized enables, it gives you a horizontal thing. If the government has given them a house, you know. If you have given them skilling, you know. In skilling, what you do, again, a mistake. The husband, you teach him to be a truck driver. The wife, you teach him in the SHG. Somebody, you teach him in the farmer. What do you want that family to be? Right. You want them to be a tailor, you want them to be a farmer, you want them to be a truck driver, utter confusion because every department is training something. You have to understand what is good for their family, and complementary, supplementary actions, lending, everything you have to give. So everybody becoming an entrepreneur, not possible. That model is not going to work. Right. So you have to have more and more MSMEs where these people work, they get a good produce, and then you have professional marketing as you are moving ahead into this issue. That is going to make a lot of difference. Then, if you look at this population again, what is amazing is you have to again gear them up for the betterments, right? So entrepreneurship is also now of a different kind. With digital things happening, many of the old traditional employment is again disappeared, completely disappeared from the market. So this evolution, you have to be like a hawk's eye, see the local level better employment. What are the new products which you can go for? How quality products you can go? It's a hard work. And somebody has to sit in the drawing table, maybe make a beginning from this one district, one product, and make it for it. And then it becomes easy. Okay, this is the line of thinking you do for other districts. It is not copy and paste, right? So if you have a software park in Bangalore, then Gwalior is not going to have it, even though we allotted land there long back. Nobody is going to make a software park, right? Maybe 10 years down the line also they'll not make it. So this is what we have to understand. You have to understand this difference and work upon it. It is a challenge. It's a very big challenge. We have to think out of the box and bring it. It's worrisome rather. Truthfully, I'm quite worried about it. How are we going to handle this population? If they are not occupied, they'll be gundas. And this is what we are witnessing now. We have quite a lot we are witnessing. They have aspirations and aspirations not getting fulfilled. So more crime, more into wrong kinds of activities. That is a problem. That is a problem.
Arunaji, you mentioned about MSMEs specifically. I think you also written about it extensively in your columns. And there are a couple of particular questions, and also in the context of a lot of what you said, bottoms up. Couple of questions that I had was specifically one on what are the 2 or 3 big policy unlocks you think which can help MSMEs. There's been a lot of action, maybe a lot of noise as well. There's a separate ministry for quite some time now on for MSMEs and a bunch of things happening there. So what are the 2 or 3 policy actions in your view which can unlock the potential of the 6 odd crore MSMEs? That is one. And second question I had was, Of course, we are seeing a lot of things being digitized. When you say marketing in the hands of experts, I would look at it and say, okay, a lot of online platforms who have the ability to market it beyond the district in which these goods are produced. But we do have some issue because a lot of these small sellers don't are small. They're really small. They don't have GST, and the way our GST laws, anyone who wants to sell even 1 rupee of good online, regardless of their turnover, needs to be GST compliant. And that kind of compliance intensity is not what a small seller can really do. So, how do you sort of merge these two things? Let them take the benefit of online commerce, and also what are the other independent policy unlocks which a small seller from, say, smaller towns, rural India can.
Very right. You have answered a part of your question itself. In Unlock, this is the dichotomy that you say MSME less than 40 lakhs need not register for GST. But moment they step into a wider market of e-commerce, you say no, 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 they have to be GST compliant. Now this needs to be unlocked completely. It is very important. Number two, so automatically the compliances has to be brought down if they, because if it is the customer is the ruler. If the customer visits e-commerce platform to decides its buying product, then the small manufacturer has to be on that platform. So we have to enable them to come to that platform. Number two, all these platforms, we are always working thinking that e-commerce is bad. They are exploitative, not understanding that we can use e-commerce to handhold these small manufacturers. They can help them to define the product. They can help them to place their product. They can give them a real-time feedback to correct their product and handholding. So our rules has to focus that to make it mandatory for e-platform to introduce these small producers into their platform and give them a wider platform. Instead of saying, okay, you can't have a supply chain, you can't have logistic investment or 26% investment, it's a waste of time. Because this small manufacturer, to maintain an inventory, to maintain a supply chain, to pay to a supply chain, to go to a supply chain, to manage the return, get a market feedback is going to be a hell of a problem. You have to make them focus only on manufacturing. That is one. So e-commerce platform is one answer. Second answer is the guilds. Again, I say a China model. There are 7 guilds in China across the country. Now, these guilds in each of their corner is linked to these manufacturers, where they have a small display corner for their produce. So international buyers go there. They have the catalogs, they have everything, and these guilds arrange for hotel stay. Hotels are there where they stay. They have container packing facilities, they have payment facilities, they have everything. So when international buyers go, they arrange everything and container is dispatched, and feedback goes back that okay, these kind of products are getting good buyers from India, from Thailand, from Europe, from this thing. So you get a real market feedback, what sells in which market. And this person's is only to manufacture and create a catalog making. Also these skills help. They have exhibition halls. So on one hand you have e-commerce, on other hand you have these physical markets where physically everything is displayed digital, but somebody wants to have a feel of their product for placing orders. So international exports, they can go there and do it, and that's what makes a difference. So you have to have this marketing in the hands of experts, whether through e-commerce platform or through guilds, who puts the money there, right, and who earn the money back from there. But they get a real-time feedback, they get good designs, they get technology, they get skilling, they get maybe an investment besides banking for new equipments or whatever is needed in the market, and that is how they add on to the bandwagon. And today the biggest employer, even though MSME becomes automated, you can have more and more and more of MSMEs, and that is where the employment can come from. It will not come from the established core sector big industries. An employment level, they will have a 1 or 2% increase. Production may be 20% increase, or 50% increase, or 100% increase. But employment is not going to grow in that proportion. But MSME, yes, it is going to. And we have a capability of capturing these markets of the fast moving goods, which can come in a big way, which can become a supply chain to these big industries, which can become thing. But this policy unlocking is important. You have to treat e-commerce as a platform, like a big shop, an electronic shop, sorry, e-shop kind of a thing. So there is no need to have a separate rule what is there in a shop and what is not there, right? Similarly, now you are discouraging these e-commerce platforms by telling them that no, 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 you will be responsible if something is wrong in the good. They can't be responsible. They can just create a platform to inform the manufacturer that your good has been rejected, and they do have. You can return your good, you can get back your payment, or you can get a replacement, but you can't hold them responsible, right? So the rules has to be to encourage them to invest more and more in the logistics, in the inventory, and the backend, to focus more on skilling these small manufacturers, to handhold them, get their produce on the e-commerce platform and expose them to the market by teaching them, by giving them a feedback, by good description of it, by displaying these products. And that's what makes a difference. These days, I see some success stories coming. There may be a small fraction of it, but it should be the way we work, right? It should be the way we do the business on these platforms. And that is what is going to make the whole difference.
Ma'am, you spoke earlier about the impact of DBT, right? And we've seen the way, last mile delivery especially has been completely transformed, I would say, in the last few years, right? And oftentimes we bemoan that there isn't enough state capacity, but if you look at how, for example, vaccines have happened, or even rations and supplies were delivered to the far corners of the country, we've done a way better job than even some of the more developed nations, right? And something that you mentioned on the household database, I think that will take it to the next level in terms of being able to view citizens in perspective of their relationship with each other, right? Whether it's a family or other sorts of relationships. How do you envision this working? Like, so if I understand correctly, I mean, different departments can access the same sort of a data set. So for something like an Ayush scheme, for instance, I mean, if you understand the relationships, then you will be able to deliver accordingly through the life cycle of each of these family members, right? So if you could just illustrate that a little more, that would be really nice.
Surely, surely. So in this Samagra software, what happens? The first 10 columns are frozen, right? So which has got the family member's name, each coming with a unique number. And this unique number is not like Aadhaar, a random number. It's a logical number. So you will know the state, the district, the village, the block, the village, the family number, and head of the family is 1, the wife is 2, the eldest child is 3, the last digit 4, 5, like that you will know. Then there are 5 chain, and then each of the vertical columns is verified. It's not like Aadhaar. I go and say I am so and so, this is my footprint, this is my photo. I may be a wrong name I am giving. You don't verify anything right there. And once I get that card, that's my identity. It may be XYZ name, right? Now here the column of caste, the person who issues a caste certificate verifies and locks it. The gender is locked. Your BPL status is locked. So everything is locked. Only 5 changes happens. That is birth, death, the girl addition by marriage or out from marriage, split in the family, or the family migrates. Now this is done by the local self-government. In urban areas by the ward, in rural areas by the panchayat. So they have a key where they will post the correction, which is checked by a higher authority at the block and district, and then it again gets frozen. So this data, along with the bank number of these individuals and their Aadhaar numbers, which is masked, is all frozen. Now, other vertical columns are divided between different departments. So Ayush need not make another database, which is happening today, right? Which is creating a lot of confusion. You have 10 of the vertical columns and you work on health. You work the moment the child is born, the child's name get added. So automatically in the PDS system, you get 5 kg extra. The death happens, the death gets negated. It is linked to the LIC. So what you have, this Atal Pension Yojana and other things, immediately that 70,000 get debited, that credited into the account. They need not apply anywhere. And this is happening in 8 states. 8 states have adopted this Samagra model. And then when you go ahead with this like that, you have vertical columns for PDS system, you have vertical column for housing system, you have vertical column for the social benefit system, pension diya, scholarship diya, education system, etc., etc. And the head of the state, that is the chief minister, or head of the administration, that is the chief secretary, only have an access to reach the horizontal. So you know in that family, okay, we gave a house, we have given a wheelchair, we have immunized 2 people, there are 3 children, blah, 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 everything. And tomorrow, if we want a database that I want to know how many widows are there, like the chief minister wanted to come up with a scheme for widows, you give it. And something I will tell you, which will open your eyes once we did it, in scholarship scheme, we did a saving of 580 crores of rupees. There was duplication of payment of scholarships, right? So at that time, the political bosses were a bit hesitant, saying that people will say this much of corruption was taking place. Then we gave them a tagline that you are evolving and you have got it. This might be happening for last, we don't know how many years. And with this saving, we told him to announce something new scheme. So they got the credit for that new scheme because that saving happened. That money was saved in the government exchequer. So you have no duplication, you have saving of money because there are multiple departments which are giving scholarship. And based on this principle only, we came up with a national scholarship portal. You just visit national scholarship portal and now every scholarship starting to PhD student to SC/ST to OBC to minority goes only from there. So the Minority Affairs Department, which was struggling for money, had a saving of 300 crores. The SC/ST department, which had a pool of 5,000 crores, old debts, is not asking for money, right? In physical files, you don't know what's happening, right? So this is the advantage of digitization, and this is the way it works. So you have a protocol for updation. You have vertical columns from each one of them. When we did it, we had to give 3 months to create this database. Today, it's possible, or you have to take out three databases. One is your national population register, okay? Census, what you normally know. It is household wise, it has got all the details. Second is SECC, done by Rural Development Department. Now, maybe 4 years back, doesn't matter. You do it. So, if you match these two, and third is Manrega information. So, below poverty line, 30 crores of 25 crores household we have, out of the 10 crores is in Narega. So 10 crores information is there. Now, these three data you compare, right? And we tried to do it by tabling it as Sarvam at a national level, but then I moved out from the IT department. So after that, I think it's not working. But the IT people tell me the bits and portion of it has gone to Aishman, bit and portion has gone here, but that's not my idea. My idea is you come up with one, you compare these three, and what we find 75% matched. So 75% you make it black, right? Now, rest, there are three things. Something in Narega, but not in other two. Something in National Population Register, not in other two. Something in SSCC, not in other two. So give them three color coding. Blue, green, yellow, whatever, orange, whatever you want. With that coloring, whosoever approaches first in that vertical column, suppose PDS approaches them first, then PDS verifies that data, see that data is accurate and turns it into black by the local authorities. So like that, this 25% will slowly get corrected as you move ahead with it. And then you will have a perfect database which will keep on getting into this updation regime. So this will prevent n number of surveys we do. This will prevent, like today we have gone down on hunger index and we are not able to confront it with any statistics, right? But if you have this database, you will say, no, under fight death is only this much and not more. And if it is true that yes, under fight stinting is more, then yes, it's an alarm level. We go back to drawing table and see that in spite of giving immunization, free food, this, that, why stunting is happening, or stunting is happening in a particular geographical area. So what's wrong? Then your treatment is well targeted, well focused, and doing well. So you will have always a real-time data with you, and you will have an accurate data with you, right? So this is very important. Unfortunately, the focus is not here. We are doing multiple databases. We are driven by, I don't know, Nimish will say so. We are driven by the software makers. They come and tell a big story. Oh, we'll create a software for health, you create for health. They'll say, okay, we'll create for PDS, you create for PDS. But we should come up with this one. And I'm a strong believer of NIC for the simple reason because NIC has a representative in every district, right? And people like me, the generalistic, like when we develop this Samagra with NIC, so the other states can adopt it free of cost because it is developed by a government agency. So you don't have to pay anything for software. Then people like me get ideas en route, right? So it is not like a flow chart. I explain you a flow chart and you develop a software. But one fine day, I will see the potential of what is getting created. And I'll tell them, no, 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 I want this also. No, I want that also. I want this combination. I want that. Now, a private sector will put me a bill. Now, looking at that bill, I'll say, okay, let me compromise it, right? Because I can't afford to pay more because I've already given an approval of X amount. Now, to give an additional approval of X amount is a hell of a job. So, okay, let me compromise. So, I get a half big thing. We have an income tax example in front of us. We ended up into a half big thing, right? With a lot of correction, postponement, and now I think it is getting operative. So it is very important to involve this NIC. They are not good in front ends, but they are very good in writing software. And second thing, what advantage I got in Samagra, that after this was made, and I explained this software on the video conferencing to all districts, to all blocks, to all sarpanch, who was hand-holding? It was the NIC man. I said, any technical man, go to this person. He's bang there in a district. And below him, we have a Narega software people, right? So every block, there is a Narega software people, a private on contract. So you have a whole chain of software people to disseminate, to replicate, to multiply, which in government is very essential. It's not just at a highest level of understanding. What's happening down the line is something very important. And surprisingly, within 2 months, all sarpanch were on online payment. The DBT, what you said, the entire country in 3 months, we were 100% on DBT. And we had a team. I still remember I got IT of all the banks, the PFMS, which is the treasury software, and the MIS systems of Narega and everything. We selected Narega first for the simple reason every day there is a payment and odd kind of payments, somewhere in post office, somewhere in cooperative bank, who are not even digitized. We have all this mix. 3 days they were literally locked in the room. First day they fought that my software is right, problem is yours. By third day, they all agreed the corrections. They did the corrections. Then we had a team which used to monitor every day. Every day. Around 1,000 used to bounce back. And that used to give a feedback to keep on correcting. In 2 months, it got stabilized. And then each state came and camped there for a week. They carried the set of instructions we have issued. They checked it. And because the bank at the headquarter has already done it, the post office has come with an intermediary software then because they were not digitized then. And that triggered us to put to the central government that post offices should go for digitization. The cooperative banks have to go for digitization. It threw that question to us. And we were able to then push it, which took a little time. But we had intermediary software where the credit used to happen 20 days late. So we said, fine, it doesn't matter. Let it go 20 days late. We are ready to compromise till they digitize and do the same day, like the banks. And this is how, and along with that was financial inclusion. So in 5-kilometer radius, catchment area, you have an account, you put your thing there. How funny in silo we work. Narega account, they say there cannot be a deposit. We said, why? They said, no, it has been made at zero balance, so it will only be G2P. Narega payments will go there. We said, nonsense. What do you want it to become? A savings account. They said 50 rupees hona chahiye. Next thing I said, okay, all Narega payments pay 50 rupees. Right. We will adjust it in the next payment and convert it to savings account. Then all banks converted into savings account. So sometimes what happens, we become victims of stupid kind of rules or writings what we write. Right. Now, if I have an account, it should be capable of everything. If I have a saving, if I have a money, I should be able to deposit it. If I am getting pension as well as Nareka, both should come to the same account. So Samagra enabled that anything which the G2P goes will go only in this account. One account. Right. One account of man, one account of the wife, one account of the children for scholarships, along with the parent if they are minor. Right. So you may have 10 accounts, you may not have 10 accounts. We don't care as far as the government is concerned. Sure.
And I'll leave Roshan and you with one interesting question, which I won't be a part of to hear the answer to. Since you brought up the income tax thing and you've been Secretary IT, I know you partly answered it, but there have been a lot of spectacular. I mean, when private parties have worked with governments, especially, they have made news. So Accenture with NHS contract, I remember, I think sometime in 2000, that was a big contract, billions of dollars. There have been state contracts with Indian IT companies, and somewhere down the line, Indian IT companies have worked with like they have billions of dollars of revenue. They work with thousands and thousands of private players. Either when something goes wrong with the private players, either it doesn't make noise or maybe less probability of things going wrong. So what is it that, and I know maybe I don't want specific, but what is it with public units or governments and this IT where does the fall off happen, and or is it that it happens everywhere and only the public sector things makes more noise? What would you sort of suggest going ahead? Because of course technology intensity is only going to go up. This is direction that it can't be reversed, and it probably only accelerate. So what are the 2 or 3 things you think are the root causes where things probably don't work, and what should change in the behavior of either the government side or the IT services side for us to avoid such income tax like things in the way it touches every person? And I'll probably take leave and maybe I'll listen to the
What I'll do is I'll give one point quick answer for you before you quit. I'll give you an example of OPD of AIMS, right? Now, the entire software was developed by NIC, but the front was developed by TCS. Okay, that makes the difference, because the front end they were very good, and then it was managed by TCS. Because we made it from NIC, we uploaded it in the cloud, so any hospital can download it and get it adapted by using the private sector to their hospital way of working. So this is the kind of combination is needed. So you use this NIC, you understand government, who understand these complexities, who can see 20 times, correct it, but they're very bad at the front phases, and that is how you go. And a quick answer to income tax, or their other two, which also had a problem, which they worked upon it, is non-dialogue with the person in command, right? I always say the head of the department have to spend time with the IT person. You can't live it down the line, because the kind of image or kind of possibility you have in mind. Plus, it is very important to talk to the stakeholders. If they would have just talked to the CAs, they would have understood this problem immediately. You have to experiment with the CA, because it's ultimately the CA who is uploading so many things. And then comes a private individual. So you have 5-6 private persons, you have 8-10 CAs with all levels of complexities to work upon it, and you will know where the problem lies, instead of just pushing it down the throat and then coming to a dead wall, right? So I think we can say bye to Nimesh, and then I can continue with this.
thank you, Arunaji. Thanks, Roshan.
Thank you so much, Nimesh.
Thank you. I'll take your leave. Thank you. Bye.
Right. So Roshan, if you go ahead with the thing, 2 examples which I gave you,
Right.
they don't, it's not a competition between NIC and private sector.
Yeah.
NIC is which understand us, and you have a NIC high level person associated with every department. He's attached to every department. So all your softwares, what's happening, everything they know, right? So it is very important to get them involved into it. They understand us. They have an access to us, right? They can have a dialogue with us, and we can tell them the problems we face. And very important for a person to devote time into it, right? Because that is what I experienced when we developed Samagra. I was associated with first computerization of land records in the country. Didn't understand anything on computer then. There's your all dot commands, we used to keep it under the glass in the table, because forget it every day. But we told them, this is the input, because this is the way we maintain physically. Don't expect us to change the input. It is exactly like this. This will be your input. And these are the all kinds of outputs that I want, right? Now, in between what you do, it is your headache, right? And then every day evening, I used to test with my input. If it's not giving results, I used to say not done. See, Dak did it. Mohan Tambe. I used to keep on doing. So he used to tell me, you are a very tough question setter. I said, no, because I know only the inputs very well. And I know as an output what all I want. I don't understand your software. I don't understand what you do there. I don't understand your computer at all. We were quite only fascinated to have a computer and put that dot matrix command and be amused with it. That was in mid 80s,
Right.
84, 85, 86. This was the status.
Right.
But then you see the computerization, the way it has come in the government. It's admirable. Literally now every database is there. But what happened, and I will not call it a mistake, because different departments adopted software way of working at different levels. So they are all in silos developed at different levels. And therefore now you need Samagra, or you need a holistic planning, or you need to bring them together. Because
Right.
now everybody has reached the common denominator. Now you can break it. Now you can do it. Previously, it was a very complex thing. Different people at different levels. So one will not understand, other is talking at a different level. So it is very, very important to work together. To work together. Any software team which you make, involve these NIC people, involve the department, and you be there, and the success will follow. Today you see the biggest MIS system is Manrega, right? Where a real-time data of how many people employed, how many people wages paid, every database is there. NIC is monitoring it. SECC, NIC is monitoring it. National Scholarship Portal, NIC is monitoring it. GEM portal, initially made by combination of NIC and private sector, and they are doing it. Right. So you have this a very good technical, knowledgeable base who understands government. Because government, we are sometimes very illogical in our thinking. Right. So I remember when we first time make this software Gram Drishti with IIT Mumbai, that person was really looking at me. I've never seen such fools in my life, because I told him, no, 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 you can't, because we wanted Excel sheet, because we learned, like I said, when we graduated into learning, we learned Excel sheet. So all our database came in Excel sheet. But then we said we want spatial display of it, because the water we may be sort of taking care in one corner of the district and devoid in other corner. The numbers may look good, but then maybe some pockets we are not doing, so we want spatial. That time the spatial used to take 4 years to have the display. So we said this 4 years business, so it's everything is outdated, we don't want. So we created a software with IIT Mumbai called Gram Drishti. So where you punch and you get the representation in the polygon. So we said polygon is good enough. I need not know the accurate place in the village, wo kidhar pani ka hai ya kidhar school hai. I want to know if there is a school or not. That's all. That's enough for me. When we did it, so at the aggregating level, I told him that you have to leave the aggregation to us. Agriculture department will have different aggregation of group of villages, and panchayat will have different group of villages, and drinking water will have a different group of villages. He said, why do you have different group of villages? I said, you are not to question that. You have to give me your software, because this is how we work. We have different villages aggregating at their vertical levels. So you should give us a tool so that each department can work on the same software. And then they did it. They made it very easy and simple. But then, we are illogical. My point I'm trying to tell you is, sometimes we are illogical because of the traditional way of working, of these groupings being formed over a period of time and everything, till we sort of start matching. Still we start matching. So the software has to be more tuned to our level of understanding and take it to the level of demand which we are taking. If we have to answer the Nimish's question, make groups and always pilot it out.
Right.
Don't just roll it out. Don't just roll it out.
Right. Absolutely. Ma'am, since you were part of the RBI high-level committee, I have to ask you this. There's a lot of debate, controversy around cryptocurrency. Now, people are not sure, or rather regulators are not sure whether to view it as an asset, as a technology, or as a currency by itself, right? You see a lot of Indians investing in crypto. And then you mentioned land records. Land records is something that could very well be supported by blockchain kind of technology, right? And then you've seen like countries like El Salvador, for example, adopt Bitcoin as formal currency itself. So what would your views be on crypto?
I'm very, very clear on this view. First of all, let us not use the word currency with crypto. Crypto is crypto. And blockchain technology, absolutely no debate about it. It will be very helpful for land records. And I, first of all, like to distinguish between digital currency and crypto. Digital currency, which is something backed by the central bank of the country, RBI in our case. which will ensure that there is a backing asset for it, that is that much amount of gold or that much of money with the government or that much of money in my account. Then in the digital currency is like a digital payment where we have walked a long way. My 100 rupees will remain 100 rupees. It will not become 110. It will not become 90. Right? So that is digital currency, which the government should focus as an evolution to stop or reduce the print of currency. Right? So it is to that limited extent to make the INR more strong, to make the INR more possible to do it. Now, crypto is an entirely different game. So we have to be very clear to define what we mean by crypto. My suggestion is we should declare it as an asset, right? Because it is speculative. My 100 rupees may become 200, it may become 50. It is speculative. So declare it as an asset. So automatically all your SEBI rules, everything will start applying to it. If I gain over a particular level of amount, it will become taxable. The moment you say it is taxable, you will force these exchanges to do the KYC or AML norms to it. So the fear of crypto that it will be used for wrong purposes, for money laundering, or for terrorists, or for drug trades, and everything will reduce down. Right. Today, even the bank money is being used for that to a small fraction. Now, here also that fear will be there, but we can reduce that fear. So blockchain technology, yes, and it is very important to come up with this very as early as possible by declaring it as an asset, because like you rightly said, 25 to 35 years of age group is investing quite a lot. Women are investing quite a lot into it. And the moment you enter a speculative market, you know there is not going to be any protection from the government. Like in a digital currency of the RBI, like a bank account, I'll have that 5 lakh of backup, not more than that. But here you will not have any kind of a backup. It is your understanding of the market and your risk taking ability you want to enter into it. And why it is growing so much? The reason is same as our your security market is growing. With people losing the jobs, with reduction in the salaries, with expenditure going up, with inflation going up, people are looking for better investments where they get quick, faster, better returns. And crypto has given them an answer today. So on date, the returns on crypto is far superior to any kinds of investments portfolio one can think of. So they are getting that returns to battle out the inflation, to battle out their losing of job, to battle out their reduction in salary. And that's the reason why you find this younger group going in a very big way. And therefore, it is very important to streamline it. And I am not in favor of ban. And already Supreme Court has said so, that the fear factor vis-a-vis ban is not proportionate as per our constitution. Your action has to be proportionate to the fear. Right. So therefore, Supreme Court has ruled it out, Madras High Court has ruled it out, and therefore the initial declaring it as illegal is out of the window. So it is not illegal as far as the country is concerned. It is legal. It is at the risk. Now you have to define it, put it in a jacket, right? So ban is out of question. So first option is ban, cross. Second option is to regulate it by declaring as an asset, yes. The third option, what you said, like El Salvador and now Cuba also joining it, is not acceptable because it is not a currency. If that understanding is very clear, that it is not a currency because it is not backed by anything and tomorrow it can lead to a disaster, it is better to distinguish between the two and go ahead with this. And blockchain technology, I think there should not be any doubt or dispute in the minds of people that it can be used for data mining in a very beautiful way of much of the data, right?
Ma'am, I know we have overshot the time that we have budgeted. This has been a fascinating discussion, multiple different viewpoints on policy and execution and everything. But to end things, what is your advice to youth on civic participation, adopting more social responsibility, and making a difference? Where should they start? And in your career, what you've seen over the last 4 decades, how things have transpired on the ground. What would you advise would be the best way for us to go about this?
Very right. The fourth ladder, which I said about the community's role, the same will apply to the youth for civic participation. It is the youth which makes the character of a country. Let us be very clear about it. If you don't throw the garbage out by one statement from the Prime Minister of the country, you don't see it any longer. Everybody looks down on a person who will throw a garbage in a public place. The moment you enter a mall, and every section of society enters a mall, Their behavior changes completely. And now it is changing outside as well. So you don't see people throwing litters around. So it, by one word, by one slogan, it has made a change, right? So it is very important that how do you go about it. So my experience about the youth is that when you take a slogan, you should have an answer also with it. Let me tell you, I remember at early stages when I was in the district, this cow used to be taken across border to Rajasthan, right? And all this youth, stopping the truck and bringing it and creating all kinds of noise and everything. So I asked them, I said, why? They said, Gai Mata hai. I meant, very good. Why do you find them in streets? Why it is sold off by the farmer? It is a commercial deal you are doing because you don't want to feed a milk cattle when it stopped giving milk. You don't want to invest on the fodder. You don't want to take care of that cattle, even though it's giving cow dung. So you are leaving it in the streets. So who is going to take responsibility for that cattle? So then I told them, I called the veterinary doctor and I said, tag the ear of one cattle each by putting the name of these people, right? One name. And I said, if this name, cattle, I find it on the street, then I'm going to take action against it. So it's very easy to take a slogan or beat up people or say this should not be done, but you have to find a solution to look after it. Right. So you thought of Goshala, but how many you can look at it? Look at the number of cattle we have. I told you in the beginning, our productivity level is so low that we produce this much of milk by more number of cattle than internationally done. Right. So we have that cattle, and the law in the country for cow against cow slaughter is age old. We have to practice it, but we have to take care of it. And I have seen a sick cattle which cannot stand. It's because sitting in a place, all this lower part of the body has been infected very badly. Now, what do you do with that? So you have to take care and you have to find an answer. So I'll tell the youth that use a logic in your mind. Don't be like a wolf howling gang, how karke pahunch gaye. Try to understand that, try to educate the person, try to find a solution, tell the people. If you look at the Indian tradition, it was कि गाय को रोज एक रोटी खिलाओ, घर में रोटी बनाते हो एक रोटी गाय को दो. Why was that? It was to look after this cattle which has stopped giving milk, right? The one which was giving milk was never loitering on the street. The farmer used to keep them carefully, right? Or somebody in the family used to take them in the grazing land to give them green fodder and everything. It is these cattle which used to loiter around or be near the temple. So people used to give one roti each. So you took care of feeding that cattle. So now, because the urban towns are changing, the population has gone up, you create a separate area. So, but you have an area to look after them, to look after their food. To what extent? You can't allow them to go around and spoil the farms. Right, the herds of cattle going and grazing away their farms' produce. You cannot do that. So this is where the youth has to take care to think of what they are doing. One, community insult to a woman, I think it's a shameful. It's a shame. It shows less evolution of the society. Right. You have to learn to respect the women. If all youth decide that, okay, we will respect the women, then the kind of incidents of molestation and rape and everything we come across, we will not see it. It will be looked down upon. It will be an aberration. It will not be the rule. Right. Similarly, cleanliness. Similarly, following the law. Right. Today, you show your power by how many rules you break. Right. Right. That's not power. It's something to feel ashamed of. Rule is to be followed by everybody and set this practice. So the youth has to, as a community, take care of this. The moment you take care of this, you yourself will be in a very happy society. You will see your surroundings happy, you will see your family happy, you will see people happy. And then India is a cauldron of culture. We can't have just one thing. It's a cauldron. The Dravidians, the Tamilians said, we are the only original Indians. You all came over a period of time. And it's true. If you look at the history, the Aryans, we all came from Persia, right? And then mingled here. Then after the Aryans, then you had Mughals coming. Then they became a part of the country. Then you had Britishers coming. Then you had Anglo-Indians into it. So you have such a cauldron here. It's all mix of blood and everything. And you will be amazed to know that I am a Koknast Brahmin, Maharashtrian Koknast Brahmin. We are originally Jews 450 years back who migrated from there. So if you look at this cauldron and go into the history of it, and today we are the big champion, topmost Brahmin, Maharashtra Koknast Brahmin. biggest champion of Hinduism, right? But then if you look at the history, you will know where you come from. And that's why you will find those light blue eyes and greenish eyes and light hair. From where does it come from? It's not Indian color at all. So that's why it is very important that you understand the history. You appreciate we are a cauldron of culture, and that's our uniqueness. That puts us, absolutely on a very different platform across the globe. And if we bring in the best, all best brain, all best genes, all DNAs have crisscrossed and brought in, you will find an Indian much more intelligent than any other race, any other race. So let us build upon it instead of wasting time. And this is what I want to tell you, the youth. Please don't waste time on frivolous things. The world is in a race. Today, Bangladesh is beating you, Vietnam is beating you, Philippines is beating you, right? We are all in a race. Nobody is going to wait for you in the race to catch on, right? So we have to be competitive and we have no time to waste on frivolous activity. Focus. Be youth, Indian. We have to grow. We have to clean cities. We have to be the best, and we can be the best. It's not impossible. Anybody who has migrated out, got the ecosystem, have performed fantastic.
Yeah.
So and they are not from your IITs. If you look at the profile of the top CEOs of the international software companies, none of them is from IIT. They're all from local engineering colleges, right? So we have that capability. Now, can't we create that ecosystem here? We can. We just waste time into something which is, you read a newspaper, 20 items are just frivolous. It has got nothing to do with our growth story. Nothing to do. Can't we change that? And it's for the youth to change. Nobody else changes.
Right. That's a wonderful note to end the podcast on, Arunaji. Thank you again for being on the podcast and being so generous with your time. This was a very inspiring conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking this initiative, and look forward. Do send me the link, right?
Sure.
Since you edit and finalize it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Wish you all the best. You're doing great job. And I always feel pained when resources of youth get wasted, right? We should not.
Right. Thank you, madam. Thank you. Namaste. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Bharatvaarta podcast. If you want to see more content like this, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We started Bharatvaarta to facilitate long-form discussions on politics, policy, and culture. We don't necessarily endorse anything that was said in this episode. If you wish to offer us feedback, do reach out to us on social media. We are at Bharatvaarta on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You could also get in touch with us on our website, www.bharatvaarta.in. The links are in the description below. Until next time, stay safe, take care, and Jai Hind.